In episode 2 of How to Sell a Massacre, Pauline Hanson's One Nation party is in America.
$500 million. It's serious money.
They're in search of millions of dollars from the US gun lobby.
What sort of number are you guys thinking?
I'm thinking 10.
No, I was thinking 20.
They want the cash to buy control of democracy in Australia.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Yeah.
We get the balance of power, but that means we have the testicle of the government in our hand at every given stage.
The only way for us to stay free was by having whatever guns the bad guys have.
One Nation is coached by the National Rifle Association on how to make Australians believe they need more guns.
Have to kind of break down the narrative so that people's initial reaction to a gun isn't negative.
There's somebody shooting at Sandy Hook School. There's still a shooting.
We need to have every single school in America immediately deploy a protection program. And by that, I mean armed security.
More guns, more guns, more guns. Ching, 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 ching.
You want to put messaging out there that'll get people outraged, get them mad, easy to understand.
One Nation wants their mission to America to be kept secret.
If I said that to the public, I'd probably lose everything that I've ever worked for in my whole life.
Working hard and never cry. Things to be defeated like that.
They may make a movie about this sometime in the future.
And they visit one of America's wealthiest political donors.
We can change the voting system in our country, but we've got the money to do it. We have the people, we've got the momentum, we've got Senator Pauline Hanson.
Don't mess with me.
Previously in How to Sell a Massacre.
Good, mate. How are you?
Good to see you.
So it's Diana.
Australia's One Nation party arrives in the US capital.
We've got a very busy week coming up.
Good.
Their mission, to make friends in America's multi-billion-dollar gun industry and to source millions in political donations while they're at it.
I'm in a country where you're allowed to own guns. Yeah, so I'm pretty happy.
One Nation has asked this man, Roger Muller, to help set up key meetings in Washington. Roger is the public face of Gun Rights Australia, an organisation calling for the loosening of strict gun laws there.
So this is your first NRA annual meeting?
The first annual meeting.
Australia's gun laws were tightened following a massacre in the town of Port Arthur. A gunman killed 35 people with an AR-15 assault rifle. Automatic and semi-automatic guns were banned in Australia in what became known as the National Firearms Agreement. Hundreds of thousands of guns were destroyed.
Since 1996, there have been 0 mass shootings of people that are not known to the assailant in Australia.
The NRA fears that Australia's laws may inspire American politicians to follow suit.
It's the left-wing anti-gunners who literally point to Australia using the mainstream media as the shining model as to why we need gun bans and gun confiscations.
Roger's connections to the US gun lobby have led him into One Nation's inner circle. The party's chief of staff, James Ashby, hopes gun lobby donations can lead One Nation to electoral victory.
We would win, potentially balancing power, if we took 2 seats in the lower house. I reckon you can do that with $2 million. If you went 20, you would own the lower house and upper house.
You would have the balance of power in both houses. That
Out of
you
how
have
many-
the whole government by the balls.
If it gets out, and rock the boat.
But Roger Muller isn't who he claims to be. He's working undercover for me, Peter Charlie. I'm a reporter from Al Jazeera's investigative unit. We created Gun Rights Australia as a front to infiltrate the pro-gun lobby and to understand how they operate.
Hey guys, Roger Muller, GRA. Day 1 here in Louisville at the NRA conference. Thanks for listening. We'll see you soon.
Over 3 years, Roger filmed with concealed cameras, handing over hundreds of hours of hidden camera recordings.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cheers, mate.
Yeah.
At their hotel in Washington, D.C., the One Nation delegation relaxes with Roger as it prepares for potentially game-changing meetings with the gun lobby. And they're happy that the media is well out of sight.
Pauline and I don't let them too close to me, and I don't let them anywhere near me. And see, that's why they start to come after me because I'm not.
James Ashby is a key political strategist and chief of staff for the right-wing party. He wants the NRA to provide One Nation with its electoral clout and know-how.
If the NRA want to rally their supporters with Australia, that's one start. 2, I'd love to get my hands on their software. 3, if they can help us with donations. Super.
His colleague Steve Dixon dreams about what he'd do with lots of money, living like a drug lord with an arsenal of guns.
I'm going over one of them drug dealing mansions in the region of Ohio from, the ones 25 rooms and the chef and everything. You drink and shoot the shit out of everything. Love machine guns and everything, but that's my
big 50 cal.
Yeah,
shit stuff.
Yeah, and we can protect ourselves just in case.
Dixon leads One Nation in the Australian state of Queensland and is a candidate for the Senate in the upcoming federal election. He has played a key role in helping reshape One Nation's firearms policy.
We have a One Nation policy in place. It's a 21-point plan to make things better for registered shooters right throughout Queensland.
Sounds sensible, common sense.
Police, we're on your side. We want you to be able to shoot the best that you can.
In an interview for the Gun Rights Australia website, the One Nation party leader said today's gun laws make the innocent more vulnerable.
All they're doing is taking it out of the hands of legitimate people, and they're actually allowing criminals to actually have the firearms.
For years, Pauline Hanson has been pushing a populist anti-immigration agenda.
I believe we are in danger of being swamped by Asians.
Oh, what on earth?
Her publicity stunts, including wearing a burqa to Parliament, have led to accusations of racism.
Because this is not what should belong in this Parliament.
Everyone, male and female, should have some knowledge of how to handle a firearm, how to protect themselves, because I don't trust our governments to be able to do it for us.
One thing we say here that would probably translate there, we say that the right to protect and defend yourself is a God-given right.
The One Nation visitors are being schooled in public relations by the NRA's media liaison team. Catherine Mortensen offers an argument for gun ownership that can be used beyond the United States.
The right to protect and defend yourself, it's recognized by the Constitution, but it doesn't come from the Constitution. The Constitution guarantees us, but it comes from God. If you're a person in Australia, you share that same right. It's a God-given right.
One of the PR team's biggest challenges is how to respond to a mass killing.
The biggest one in recent years was the Newtown shooting where the little children got shot up in the elementary school.
There's somebody shooting in here at Sandy Hook School.
I heard like 7 loud booms, and the gym teachers told us to go in the corner.
There's still shooting going on, please.
There were 18 children that were pronounced dead at the school. There were 2 that were transported to area hospitals and pronounced dead at area hospitals.
Those heading to church sharing their anguish.
People are now asking when there will be a debate about America's gun laws.
The press was hounding this organization for several weeks to make a statement.
Make a comment.
Make a
Drag you
comment.
into the fight.
Right. That's what, and the organization wouldn't.
There'll be debate, there'll be delay. The NRA will say this is not the time to talk about it.
Of the 26 murdered at the Sandy Hook Elementary School, 20 were children, aged 6 and 7. The gunman used an AR-15 assault rifle.
We heard heard like shots and everybody went on the ground and Miss Martin just closed the door and we went to the corner.
First graders in Newtown. Every time I think about those kids, it gets me mad.
And then decisions like responding on those kinds of shootings are happening at the very highest level. And they were not responding.
While some have tried to exploit tragedy for political gain, we have remained respectably silent.
And then Wayne LaPierre held a news conference in which he basically said, we're holding firm. We're not going to cave in.
Now, we must speak for the safety of our nation's children. Politicians pass laws for gun-free school zones. They post signs advertising them. And in doing so, they tell every insane killer in America that schools are the safest place to inflict maximum mayhem with minimum risk. How have our nation's priorities gotten so far out of order? Our society is populated by an unknown number of genuine monsters. People that are so deranged, so evil, so possessed by voices and driven by demons that no sane person can ever possibly comprehend them.
When Wayne LaPierre gave that press conference, I thought they were going to come out and say, this is a mental health problem, and the NRA recognizes that, and we are going to put in $100 million into mental health research and supporting mental health services so the wrong people don't get guns.
We need to have every single school in America immediately deploy a protection program proven to work. And by that, I mean armed security.
More guns, more guns, more guns. Ching, 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 ching. Sick. Like, it's sick. It's not, it's so sick. Because people are dying.
The NRA reacts to criticism by trying to generate positive stories about gun ownership. It tells One Nation that the first step is to co-opt a willing reporter.
You have somebody who maybe leans to your side that worked at a newspaper, or maybe was covering City Hall or a crime reporter.
Lars Dalside advises feeding reporters information they need to write gun-friendly stories.
We want to print up stories about people who were robbed, had their homes invasion, beaten, whatever it might be, that could have been helped had they had a gun. And that's going to be the angle on your stories. And that's what he's got to write. He's got to put out 2 to 5 of those a week.
To make sure news outlets carry a pro-gun message, the NRA's PR team ghostwrites articles for them.
We'll pitch guest columns in the local papers. A lot of times we'll write them for like a local sheriff in Wisconsin or whatever. And he'll draft it or she will help us draft it. We'll do a lot of the legwork because these people are busy and this is our job. So we'll help them and then they'll submit it with their name on it so that it looks organic, you know, that it's coming from that community. But we will have a role behind the scenes. The other thing that we find has been really effective communicating, and this is for many years, is the armed citizen stories. These are where our members write in or they'll send us a news clip from their local TV station of where a citizen uses a firearm to protect themselves or someone else.
Police are crediting a vigilant gun owner with saving the life of an Upper Darby cop. And if it wasn't for the Good Samaritan stepping forward, he'd have been dead meat.
These are hugely popular. And they're short little snippets. Joe Blow, cashier at the local convenience store, had his firearm with him and protected himself.
These stories happen every single week, and you'll never hear about them from gun grabbers. When you see these stories, share them.
Those are good because they're short and they kind of get you outraged. We call it like the outrage of the week.
In Australia, it's rape, it's burglary. We have African gangs now that are imported to Australia, and they're coming into their houses with baseball bats to steal your car.
So every time there's a story there about the African gangs coming in with baseball bats, a little thing that you put out there, maybe at the top of the tweet or Facebook post or whatever, not allowed to defend their home, not allowed to defend their home, boom.
Guns save lives. Gun control does not.
That's despicable. In the same way the tobacco industry told you you're not gonna get cancer if you smoke my cigarettes, they lied to you, and we know they lied to you.
And you want to put messaging out there that'll get people outraged, get them mad, easy to understand.
The NRA tells One Nation to engage members with a simple message: exploit anger and fear.
When you start talking about issues that get too complicated or make them think too hard, you've kind of lost them. You just want something that they can get to, like the American flag. Oh my gosh, we all get that one. That's easy.
This threat is real. Our leaders are either incapable of or unwilling to protect you. There is no better firearm to defend their homes against realistic threats than an AR-15 semi-automatic. It's easy to learn and easy to use. It's accurate. It's reliable.
Why can someone own an AR-15? You can't legally own a tank in America. You can't legally own an RPG. You can't legally own a nuclear weapon. Why do we have restrictions on those?
We can never say weapons in the press. We never say it's a gun, it's a firearm, it's a rifle. Gun and firearm are the two biggest things, but once you start saying weapon, it's one of those things that means it's a dangerous thing. When you look at what they classify as assault rifles, more people drown in pools.
And the AR-15 is one of the most effective tools available to protect yourself and your family. Get trained and learn how to use it. Your safety is in your hands.
An AR-15 is the weapon of choice for a mass shooter. And that weapon should not be on the streets of this country. The same weapon used next to a bazooka, used next to a tank, used next to an RPG in war. M16, AR-15, the same weapon. One can shoot faster with the trigger held down, one you gotta pull 100 times in a minute. The bullet's the same. The damage the same. The brains that blow out is the same. The heart that explodes is the same when the bullet hits it. The organs that separate are the same.
Let's look at the gun shop. I'll go there every day. Crawl on my knees if I got it.
Dixon tells a salesman that semi-automatic weapons, including the AR-15, were confiscated in Australia following the Port Arthur massacre.
I lost all my guns. Really? They took all mine? I'll start to cry. I'll lay on the floor and do bad shit that I just done.
Fair enough.
Terrible. Mate, that's a bad time for me. It's like hell.
The salesman had his own story about guns and politics.
What we've seen with Trump getting elected into office is there has been a rise of nut jobs. Like, there's a lot more scary people, like the Burning Cross kind of people that think, whether it's true or not, they feel like they're in a much more friendly political climate. So they're coming out of the woodwork, scaring a lot of people.
The more threatened people feel by guns, the more they want guns.
We are getting a lot more left-leaning people buying guns for the first time. We're getting a lot more female buyers, minority buyers. We got a lot more of the LGBTQ community coming out, stuff like that. As people are recognizing or feeling that they're in more danger, they're protecting themselves.
I
just had gun porn on my...
Yeah, I do too. Gun porn.
Dixon meets a woman whose experience he believes will resonate in Australia.
It's actually under gun.
That's good.
He later recounts her story, which he thinks could be used to inspire women to arm themselves back home.
She got a home invasion. A guy came into her house. She was wrong, mate. But she was a little girl. She got a little girl that's 8. She was terrified that she's going to get murdered. And mate, from that point in time, she learned to shoot and do everything she can to protect the family. It's a great story to tell the Australian people.
We're gonna grab a table. That's okay.
Our undercover Roger discovers that the fear of being attacked even obsesses members of the NRA.
We've got our armed security guard up front. We don't have guns in our office, but we're we all have random weapons in case the guy gets past our security guard.
Brandy Graham is a senior federal lobbyist for the NRA. She fears her office will be stormed.
They're going to come and shoot us and kill us because they hate guns. It's like, no, you're the person that shouldn't have guns because you're unstable. Why would you want to harm us when you think this makes no sense? It's crazy talk. I literally have a ladder to throw out my window. James at the end has a hatchet.
Graham says she feels vulnerable wherever she goes.
When I get on a plane, the first thing I do is pull down my tray and I yank on it to see if I'm going to be able to get that little metal bar out. I might need a knife. I usually prop it with a scarf, whether it's summer or winter, because I might need that to show someone. Get a pen. Like, I'm ready to roll everywhere I go.
The next destination for the One Nation team is an organization representing gun manufacturers in America. They discuss their constant battle against anti-gun campaigners.
It's smash mouth, grind it out in the trenches every day.
Yeah.
Larry Keane is the Senior Vice President of the National Shooting Sports Foundation.
You can't give an inch because you will never get it back.
Dixon says they need to work together to combat the rise of political correctness.
By killing it in our country, we'll kill it in your country. It's like inoculating against a disease. If I said that to the public, I'd lose everything that I've ever worked for in my whole life. That's the truth.
The organization includes gun makers, retailers, and distributors.
How do you get people out pulling triggers? So you need to get those people converted to participants, then you need to convert them to advocates.
The foundation sees women as a key to making guns more acceptable.
If the mom's okay with it, then everyone in the family can participate. If the mom is against you, dad's just not going to fight that fight, right? Let's be honest, right?
Yeah.
And then the kids aren't going to be allowed to, you got to get the moms.
Yeah.
So you get your mom.
In part 2, One Nation lays out a strategy for how to introduce softer gun laws in Australia.
It's like Vegemite. You don't put a bundle of it on the toast. You give them a lot of smear first. Yeah. Get them used to the flavour.
And party leader Pauline Hanson talks about going to America herself to meet gun lobby contacts.
Yeah.
I'd like to get over there one day.
Wait till the federal election's over and then we're there. Well, after, go.
The One Nation team is back at the National Rifle Association headquarters.
We have to kind of break down the narrative so that people's initial reaction to a gun isn't negative.
They're meeting Glenn Caroline, whose role is to galvanise the NRA's 5 million members to vote for pro-gun politicians.
So we're trying to identify that sweet spot of what a Second Amendment voter would look like so we can deliver a Second Amendment message to them.
The Second Amendment of the Constitution gives all Americans the right to carry guns. In many states, the AR-15 assault rifle for self-defense.
I grew up with guns above every door in our house. That's just the way that it used to be. Laws changed, I think it was 96. Guns were taken off people. We could have semi-automatic weapons. You can't have them anymore.
Those guns were banned under Australia's National Firearms Agreement following the Port Arthur massacre.
It's probably an unrealistic goal to wipe out a national gun ban overnight, but if you can work around the margins, what that does is it improves the lives of gun owners on a daily basis. It does demonstrate to them if they get united and they get involved, you can start making a difference. Once people start having successes and victories, it builds that momentum that more people want to get involved.
We get the balance of power. Very simply, that means we have the testicles of the government in our hand at every given stage. Guns, in the scheme of things, still going to be at the end all. We will be able to dictate and make sure that we still have the freedom to be able to shoot.
Caroline suggests to One Nation that owning a gun should be presented as a matter of personal freedom.
The issue that resonates well, especially with women, is telling them you don't have to own a firearm, so just don't let the government tell you you can't. Leave that choice up to them. Right now, you really don't have a choice. That's been legislated away.
The NRA advises that One Nation's campaign should focus on getting this message to targeted sections of the population.
The key isn't to get that message to 25 million people. The key is to get that to the right segment of the population, the 25 million, who will take that message and turn it into activism and try to nominate or elect candidates who share that philosophy so we get some legislation passed to make it. And it takes a lot of manpower, it takes a lot of technology. It's not a shotgun approach where anything is random, everything is rifle shot precision. It's almost like triage. I want to reach out first and foremost to the people who identify themselves as supporters and activists, and then as I have time and resources, I'll expand that to
the ground troops.
The One Nation visitors ponder the advice they've received on how to sell a pro-gun message.
It's like Vegemite. You don't have to put a fucking bundle of the shit on the toast and give him a light smear first. Yeah. Get him used to the flavour. Now, a little salt and pepper back up again. And part of it will be, let's start looking at implementing women's shooting range programs, self-defence program, whatever those things might be. Start re-empowering women or vulnerable people.
You give a woman the right to be able to defend herself. The family, the little children, whatever it may do, the property, our property, not somebody else's property. Guarantee the guy that comes in with a gun and puts it to your wife and says, take all your gear off the mate, so, he's only going to go to jail for a couple of years. If he gets caught, he doesn't shoot with the gun after.
It's got to be saleable. You've got to be able to sell the message without
scaring
minority groups. Yeah. And that's where we develop a platform strategy to be able to communicate that message clearly.
If a person wanted to change the laws, I would say to them, you've got children, name one. Name one. Go to the mortuary, which you'll have to do, and identify your child. Pick a coffin for your child. Write a eulogy for your child. Attend a service for your child. And bury your child. Because that's what we're talking about. That's my reality, and that's what the general public is concerned about. They're not concerned about the right of gun owners.
Amazing. I'm at the NRA Museum in the United States. The stuff here from Buffalo Bill, There is Geronimo's weapons. You go right through this museum. It is really, really incredible.
Dixon is enthusiastic about guns, but he knows it will be a hard sell for the Australian people to accept the dismantling of firearms laws.
Shooting's not a bad thing, it's a great thing. And today in Australia, we use it in the Olympics, the Commonwealth Games, and we should be enticing young people to learn how to shoot. It's a great sport.
It's not going to be an easy pull to get through. Well, what's so tough? It's a change to the National Firearms Agreement. It's what it is.
Dixon doesn't plan to tell the Australian public that One Nation is considering the repeal of the National Firearms Agreement. He suggests the law be whittled down bit by bit.
Do you want to go for the end of the journey, or do you want to start the journey?
Do you want the loaf or half loaf? Yeah, or none of it, like none.
Yeah. None of it's not an option.
Start with a slice, but take what we can get.
We need to take the piece of bread we know we can get that are safe.
Yep.
We can do something with it, and then we can get another piece of bread and end up with the whole loaf.
Even with Roger claiming to support American-style gun laws, Dixon invites him to help shape One Nation's firearms policy.
Why don't you knock up some policy for us for guns that we can run with One Nation? Okay, what do you think of that? Yeah.
Thank you very much, Jeff.
At a $1,500 a head gathering, Dixon and Ashby mix with some of Washington's most powerful gun lobbyists.
I'll be honest with you, not a lot of people talk about God. I believe in God and Jesus Christ. If we don't stand together, we will die alone. And that's the truth. You're a Christian or not? You're a good man.
Dixon is now clear on the language that cuts through in America's wealthy pro-gun community.
If we're looking to protect guns, we don't have the Second Amendment in our country, and we're under attack by a bunch of lefties.
As they speak, Australia's election is just months away.
We don't have time to muck around, not being rude or too blunt, but that's the message that needs to come across. Is that, look, with all due respect, time is not our friend.
Dixon tells Roger that if One Nation wins the balance of power, it would be like the party holding a gun to the Australian government's head.
The thing you need to understand about the balance of power is the headlock and the 9mm to the back of the head. That's where it sits. Yeah. You know, once you say we want something, we will get it. Without it, they don't get any legislation through.
The government would then be compelled to pass laws that One Nation wants.
The bottom line where we are, we've got all the political grunt to make happen what we need to happen. It's the cash. We don't have the cash. And we got the cash, we change the world.
Members of the gun lobby offered to help.
How can we make sure that you never have to melt down another firearm? I never want you to melt down another shotgun. Never want you to have to walk over and hand it to somebody and they go, I'm going to literally throw this in a furnace.
Mate, my fucking guns got burned in that fire. I'm still angry about it.
You can't have a firearm, I will donate to you.
We need about $10 million. Sorry.
Well, it ain't going to be $10 million, I'll tell you that.
Well, I don't expect.
Personally, when I have to write the check, I'll give you $100. I'll give you $100 right now. No.
Dixon assures those around him that he will do what they want and change Australia's gun laws.
We're going to stop it. We have to stop it. We're going to stop it.
Well, I hope.
No, we don't have a choice.
You're not in the stopping race. You're in the reversing race.
Yeah, we are.
Dixon is given advice on how to pave the way for those changes.
Here's what you need to do.
This doesn't go anywhere except us.
Get help from US gun manufacturers.
Have you ever gone to American Armor? Have you ever gone to Ruger? You know why? Because you need to sit down with those guys right now.
He suggests that One Nation tell gun makers the amount of money they'll make if Australia's firearms laws are changed.
Next year, you're going to send, literally, you're going to export $280,000 worth of product to Australia. On literally the first 2 months, they will.
It'll be a gold mine.
And all those people are going to give you 15, 20 grand.
To make gun laws presentable, he suggests a degree of deception.
At that point, then you're going to have a $2 million campaign to get hunting and fishing rights, not gun rights. You're never going to put gun rights. Do not ever put gun rights on in front of a ballot. But you're going to say hunting and fishing rights. We're going to get it there. You're going to pass it, and you go, how can I hunt without a gun?
I love you, mate. What you just said tonight is amazing. Seriously, you're a good man, and God will make you do whatever you want to do. I can guarantee you that. Absolutely guarantee you.
One Nation announces it has a meeting lined up that week with representatives of the energy giant Koch Industries.
Go to that one. Get lots of money. They have more money than God and Jesus and Mohammed all put together.
They discuss what Koch Industries might expect in return for a donation.
When we talked in Brisbane, you're saying, well, what are they going to want? You've got to think about what can you do?
We can do just about anything. What do you need? Have you looked up the Koch brothers, what they believe and what they don't believe, and all that sort of shit? I have. They've done $887 million towards Trump's campaign. In 2015, they put $500 million towards another campaign. I mean, they've got serious money. Between them, I think they've got $245 billion each.
But if we get to the point where we can talk about figures, what sort of number are you guys thinking?
I'm thinking 10. No, I was thinking 20.
20?
Yeah, sorry.
Inside the Koch offices, Dixon and Ashby suspect that hidden microphones may be used by their hosts to record the discussion. They give Roger a word of advice.
Anything you say or anything you write, be prepared to read it on the front page of the paper.
That's exactly right, bro. Yeah, all right. Especially in politics.
Hey guys.
Hey, how are you?
How are you?
Good.
Good to see you all again.
See you.
Hey.
Captain Roger Muller.
Hi. Yes, we may have a couple other folks trickle in.
They're meeting with a team led by Catherine Haggett, Director of Federal Affairs at Koch Industries, and a former employee of the NRA.
We're turning socialist.
Well, we are too.
Yeah.
I mean, and when you look at the data on young people and how they perceive socialism, I mean,
That's frightening.
it's terrifying.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons I wanted to sit down. I want to have this conversation and learn more about kind of what was going on, because we're not naive to the importance of the policies in Australia and how they relate here in the U.S., particularly when you've got our western coastal states that are probably more heavily influenced by Australian politics.
This change, this lefty attitude that, just think solar and wind are going to change the world for the better, is sending us all broken.
It's not lost on us that the world we operate in is driven by international commodities markets. And what you do in Australia has a huge impact.
Yeah.
In his pitch for money, Dixon makes a remarkable offer. One Nation will alter the electoral process in Australia if Koch Industries gives them money.
What you can do to help us, and it's going to get down to money at the end of the day, as James started to touch on. We can change the voting system in our country, the way people operate. We've got the money to do it. We have the people. We've got the momentum. We've got Senator Pauline Hanson. She's the most recognised person, not only in politics, but as a person in our country. So the ingredients are there. We just don't have the petrol to put it in. Whatever you can do would be fantastic.
I'm not familiar with your election financing rules, regulations. I'm not familiar with Australia and sort of how culturally how that's viewed, what sort of money you're allowed to take. help me understand that better.
There are no set limits on donations.
Either personal or corporation?
No, none. What there is a reporting regime. Anything over $13,000 in a federal election must be reported, and it's recorded on a website which basically the public or other political parties can go and have a look at.
I think that overseas money should not have an influence in our political scene as well. So I believe foreign donations should be stopped totally.
10 weeks after the One Nation meeting with Koch Industries, the Australian Senate changed the law and banned foreign political donations. Senator Hanson voted in favour of the ban.
There's no big organisations that donate to One Nation, I can assure you that. It's been the hard work of having the fish and chip meetings, or we actually have sausage sizzles.
I'll inquire and, potentially if there's interest, have you kind of visit with some other folks.
With the prospect of a further meeting, Dixon leaves feeling upbeat.
She's doing correct. She's pure. This is dark magic. Dark magic? It is dark magic.
The following day, the delegation discusses Roger's role in pushing through changes to the law.
John, are you happy with what I spoke to Roger about as far as the system knocked up its own policy for us around?
Yeah, I think that's a really wise decision.
We need something we can put forward to the federal government to supersede this legislation.
They work through the challenges One Nation would face if the gun lobby comes through with funding. Channeling that cash through Roger's group, Gun Rights Australia, would be a problem.
If he gets money and he starts donating to us, they're just going to jump on you. The electoral committee will just come at you and go, we're doing a fraud. Where's the money? And then take 5 seconds, mate, to find out it's coming from the donor.
But Koch Industries could provide a more sophisticated option.
The truth of the matter is, one of the Koch brothers, mate, they do this all the time in countries all over the world. This ain't the first time, and it's impossible to track where the money's coming from because it's like spaghetti.
The Koch empire includes a sort of Byzantine set of groups that have been set up to influence politics and to spend money on politics, but without having to disclose where the money is coming from. And the Koch brothers were really pioneers in this area and have set up very complicated networks for money to get into the political system.
It all goes so there, the announcers drop this and that, this and money. It's like it's and it ends up in your glass. Yeah. That's money we're talking about.
I've heard it described as a daisy chain, with one group giving to another group, and sort of multiple layers of anonymity for the donors, and ways of circulating the money so that the law is adhered to, technically, but that's perhaps the letter of the law, not the spirit of the law.
Ashby warns Roger to be careful when he communicates about the One Nation trip to Washington.
Anything in writing can always be tracked and traced and used against you. And so just be mindful of any wording that's used, especially if it has been CC to us.
He's worried about America's experience with foreign meddling in elections.
No, all I'm concerned about is got that Russian interference issue. Yeah, the Americans don't want to be seen interfering in Australian politics. Sometimes it's not worth putting some things in writing.
Ashby doesn't want Australian journalists to find out why he and Dixon have come to Washington.
They'll be like, what the f*** is he doing over there? What are they doing? Yeah, because there's a contingent of One Nation people in the United States.
He admits telling one Australian reporter that he was in the US.
She said, can I ask who you met with? And I said, if I told you, you wouldn't believe me anyway. That's left at that.
As their trip to Washington comes to a close, Ashby is contacted by his party leader, Pauline Hanson. He says the trip has been so sensitive that he's careful in passing on information.
We keep everything out of writing. I've just said meetings have gone well. So that's all. Yeah, we don't. Yeah, if something of that nature was to be said, it needs to be said in person.
Ashby has a method for keeping some communication secret.
I always keep a private email, I keep a work email. Because work emails are never private. They can be subpoenas like that. It's something that you learn real fast. But as Steve said, watch everything you write. Yeah. And, you know, write it as though the whole world will read it. It's always been my saying. It's very simple.
They may be keeping a low profile, but Dixon appears pleased with One Nation's progress in Washington.
Everything is money. It's the vehicle. And I think we've already lit the fuse here for that vehicle to happen.
He believes that money will eventually make its way to One Nation.
We've lit the fuse. We're not lobbying. You know, there's been real clear messages sent to those people today, yesterday. At that function, we went out the night before. I mean, they all know. You ready? Yeah. They may make a movie about this sometime in the future.
What on earth are you doing? Life is short. You don't need to bring your last day forward. There are other people on this planet, and we count too. Back off.
You cannot, in life, and especially in politics, you cannot take into account everybody's emotions. Because there are some people that have got hyperactive emotions, and there are others that are like me that don't have any.
As the One Nation team prepares to leave Washington, Ashby's final words to Roger were about the media.
You can't be mates with journalists. It's like owning a fighter. It will bite you eventually.
3 months after the One Nation delegation returned to Australia, Senator Pauline Hanson joined Roger and Ashby for a private dinner.
So all in all, Pauline, you were happy with the boys? They did a good job in the States?
Of course they did. Yes.
During a discussion on gun laws, she told Roger she believes many questions remain unanswered about the Port Arthur massacre.
An MP said it would actually take a massacre in Tasmania to change the gun laws.
Wow.
Haven't you heard that?
I hadn't heard that one.
Have a look at it. It was set up by Parliament.
No, it's that whole September 11 thing too. You know?
Those shots, the precision shots, to the number around. I've read a lot and I've read the book on it, Port Arthur.
Yeah.
A lot of questions there.
The senator said she wouldn't hesitate to use a gun herself if she needed to.
If I had someone trying to enter my house and trying to do me harm, I'll tell you, I'd have no problems putting a bullet through me. I'd shoot it.
Senator Hanson revealed why she had not travelled with Ashby and Dixon when they visited the US looking for gun lobby money.
I go on my gut feeling, and it's really to do with the gun issue and tied up with the American issue at the moment it is not going to be good for me in the first place.
Okay.
I have to actually take these baby steps. I have to actually get more people elected at home, which I will after the next middle election, get more people elected, and then these are things that can be looked at. At the moment, they will use everything they possibly can because they see me as the biggest threat against them, and they will do whatever they can. That's why I didn't go, because I thought it was not a politically smart move for me to do.
The dinner took place just weeks after the Australian Senate banned political parties from receiving foreign donations.
We've got a donation ban from international. Foreign donations now banned.
All right. In Australia. Yeah.
Recently.
Yeah, just passed.
A few weeks ago.
Pass.
4 weeks ago. Could be a way around that. No, jail time if you get done.
Despite the new law, Ashby plans a return visit to America to reconnect with the pro-gun lobby. This time, he'll take Pauline Hanson with him.
Yeah.
I'd like to get over there one day. Yeah. That'd be good.
Yeah. Wait till the federal election's over and then we're there. After the federal election,
Yeah.
go. Because we can